What comes to mind when you hear the word strength? You might imagine someone beating an opponent in a battle, or picture someone completing a physically demanding task. But in this video, I want to use a series, Ranking of Kings, to unpack our perception of what strength is and what it can represent in our lives. Because like most things in life, it has much more nuance than people think. I believe there are a lot of concepts and lessons in the characters of Ranking of Kings that we can learn from when trying to understand the nuances of what strength means. I want to tie these ideas to the story of David and Goliath, a couple statistics, and then discuss one of the most damaging quotes from Ranking of Kings. Stay tuned. What is up? Roger here. Being anime lovers, or maybe just fans of escapist fantasies in TV shows and movies, we're exposed to a very specific image of strength. It's not usually the same type of strength that feels super relevant to us. So I want to use this video to reframe what strength means in the context of our own lives. And of course, spoiler warnings for Season 1 of Ranking of Kings. It may seem hard to find the show very relevant to us, since most of us aren't fighting people with brute force to determine who's stronger on a regular basis. Like in my previous Ranking of Kings video, I mentioned how in life, strength can be seen as power and money, and we can even add status to that list. Because in Ranking of Kings, strength is literally the most important factor in determining a king's rank. But strength can look and mean a lot of different things in real life. To start things off, I want to cover an underappreciated aspect of strength, and that's how strength itself can have an unseen weakness. To do that, we'll be revisiting the story of David and Goliath. We look at Goliath's size to be a symbol of strength that gets taken down by a weaker underdog. But what the modern day medical community actually speculate is that Goliath had acromegaly. This diagnosis would explain his exceptional size because it's the most common form of giantism. And if Goliath did have acromegaly, he likely couldn't see very well, because a common symptom of acromegaly is double vision. On top of having impaired vision, Goliath also wore a bunch of armor that made him less agile, which basically made him a large, slow target for David to snipe down with his sling. So the things that made Goliath big, strong, and intimidating are actually the reasons he had a huge disadvantage in his battle against David. And in Ranking of Kings, we have several examples of finding weakness because of his strength. The power that Boji acquired in the story is a perfect metaphor of this concept. Through the power of knowledge, Boji studied to find inherent weak points in objects and opponents. His agility and eyesight gave him the ability to apply the right amount of force in the perfect location to take it down. This power exemplified that no matter how strong something can be, there is a weakness or even a downside to that power. And a perfect character example of this is Oaken. Oaken was once a noble soldier fighting alongside his brothers to better their kingdom, but he later became a sadistic villain. As strong as Boji became, Oaken was the perfect counter because he had a power that awakened in him: immortality. You could cut him down, rip him apart, but his curse of immortality would bring him back together. On top of his advanced fighting ability, including the inability to die, he displayed a specific type of strength that we hadn't seen in any characters in this story to date. But that strength of immortality was actually a curse. This power ended up being a weakness for his integrity and character. Because Oaken couldn't die, he lost his humanity and no longer had an appreciation for life. And we see this in his uncontainable joy for torturing his opponents. It's something that he himself predicts once his power was activated. Knowing that life ends is what gives it meaning. Becoming immortal gave Oaken an unlimited amount of life, diluting its meaning and seeing it as less valuable than other people. The power that Oaken had can be seen as a form of strength that was a gift that ended up being a curse. And we also see that concept in the character of Boss. Boss had the ambition to be the strongest in the world, but he took the shortcut of achieving it by making a wish with a demon. And once that wish came true, he had nothing left to pursue. The strength that he finally acquired now left him with no purpose. He prioritized the destination of being the strongest over the journey to get there. And as I've covered in previous videos, I'm a firm believer that something earned is better than something given. And I think a concept that's more relevant to the real world is the idea of generational wealth. We always think about the advantages that most people can get with money. Most people want to pass on huge amounts of money to their kids. But the reality is that 70% of families lose their wealth by the second generation, with 90% losing it the generation after. And I would speculate that a lot of people don't have the same appreciation for wealth unless it's earned themselves. You appreciate money when you work hard for it, especially when you learn skills and knowledge to find ways of making more of it. The true value is learning how to create wealth and not just inheriting it. It's essentially the same idea as teaching a man to fish versus just giving him a fish. In the same way, building and acquiring your own strength has more value than having it being given to you. And that's something that Boss was robbed of when his wish was finally granted. But now I want to cover one of the most heartbreaking lines from Season 1. In Ranking of Kings, strength is basically defined as a person's ability to win in battle. And I want to use that idea as an analogy for just achieving goals or even success. And with this in mind, I think one of the most damaging quotes from the series was spoken by Domas. In Boji's fight against Daida, everyone is surprised to see how impossible it was for Daida to land a hit on Boji. Boji was dodging Daida's weapon like a dog dodging a bath. Even though Boji's attacks weren't doing any damage, he appeared to have the upper hand. The reality was that both fighters were in a stalemate. Daida couldn't hit Boji, and Boji couldn't really inflict any damage to Daida. But that stalemate was broken when Domas tells Boji, "That's not the swordsmanship of a king." And my heart seriously dropped when I heard that. Not just because we witnessed the first real recognition Boji's ever gotten for his combat ability, but because I thought about all the times that people have probably heard a similar statement in their own lives. How many times has someone been told something to the effect of, "You're wasting time doing blank. You're not talented or smart enough to do that. You need to get good grades to succeed in life." Or if you're Filipino, "You need to become a nurse."
You can't have a dream. What are you talking about, dream?
Or even the indirect messages and ideas that we see that tell us, "You need these things to be happy." People often get told what they need to accomplish in life or what success is supposed to look like. In Ranking of Kings, most of the characters had a very specific image of what strength looked like. Succeeding in battle meant exchanging blows with an opponent and overpowering them. Boji couldn't block Daida's attacks. He dodged them, so his fighting style didn't fit the typical image of strength. But if strength meant winning a battle, there are other ways to accomplish that, as we've seen through Boji. And we even see this in the story of David and Goliath. David was actually offered armor and weapons for his battle against Goliath, but David knew that wasn't his weapon. In episode 2, we see Boji trying to pick up a sword because he refused to believe that he couldn't be the best king. The issue was that he was trying to fit the mold of what everyone thought a king should look like. Great kings swing around big, heavy weapons. But later, Boji finds the weapon that was perfect for him. It was one that helped him achieve his own strength. And I think that's a really powerful idea for our lives, that we don't have to fit the image of strength that other people have. We should find our own strength and our own weapons that lead us to our own form of success and happiness. Let me know if you agree with this analysis in the comments. Share the video if you liked it, like the video if you did, and please subscribe for more videos like this. Until next time, later.